This is a video about the Seiko SKX007 and different crystal options. A lot of people out there customize their Seiko diver, and these are three crystals that it would have actually been interesting for me to see before ordering, so I thought I'd do a video just to show people what's out there. Here we have the Hardlex crystal that comes from Seiko. We have the double dome, and we have the bubble dome. These two are Sapphire. So Sapphire, Bubble Boy, or Bubble Dome, and Double Dome. Okay. The Hardlex crystal is completely flat. This one here, the double dome, is very slightly domed. I'm trying to get an angle here where you can just see. And if you were to just look at this crystal, you would think that it's flat on the top. But if you actually feel it, you would be able to see that it's, or you'd be able to feel that it's slightly domed on the top. And if you were to set, let's say, a piece of paper on the top of the crystal, you can see that the center does touch before the sides do. So it is very slightly domed on the top versus the Hardlex, which is completely flat on the top. It's double domed, it's domed on the top and on the bottom. So when you look through it, it's very clear. There's no distortion at all. This one here, the bubble dome, it's very domed on the top. When this one is installed, it protrudes quite a bit above the bezel. The double dome, it protrudes just a tiny bit. If you were to set the watch crystal down on a surface, the crystal would touch in the center before the bezel would, but just glancing at it, it's very slight. It's a very slight protrusion over the bezel. Another thing when looking at them, if you have your standard Hardlex in the watch, it almost looks as if there's no crystal there. It's very easy to see through. When you get these two, you can see there's a bluish tint on those. That's the anti-reflective that's on the inside. It's got a bluish tint to it. That's what you're seeing there. When these are in, first off, when the double dome is in, it's a very clear, there's almost no distortion even at angles. This one does create some distortion at angles, and it's actually quite a bit if you're at a steep angle. Whereas the double dome Sapphire, there's very little distortion. It is a bit shinier, so you'll get more gloss on the outside than the flat one, but it's still very easy to see through. And what I'm going to do, I actually have my dial and movement in another watch right now. I did a swap, so currently just to hold my my dial and my movement and things, it's in another watch case. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to set these different crystals on the top to kind of give you an illusion of what it would potentially look like in the regular watch. So standard Hardlex, very easy to see through, almost as if there's no glass there. One thing you will notice about the standard Hardlex is around the edges, it does have a contour that goes all the way around it. So along the edge you'll see that, and that will show between the bezel insert and the crystal. You'll see that shiny polished edge there. And before I go any further, just to show you, the bubble does actually give some magnification when you're looking at it through that, what's an old receipt there. Okay, now I'm going to take the double dome and I'm going to put it on the watch here. And you'll notice that same bluish tint where it reflects off the light. Another thing with the double dome is when it's installed on the watch, the crystal goes all the way up to the edge of the bezel insert, so you're not going to have any kind of moat like some crystals provide, or like the standard Hardlex does have that polished edge around that has just a slight moat effect. The double dome does not have any of that. you'll see, even at very angled like this, it is above the watch itself, but there's almost no distortion when you look at the dial. And now I'm going to switch over to the bubble sapphire. This one does give a little bit of a magnification when you're looking at it straight on. And when you get at angles, it gives you an effect almost like you're underwater. And when you get to about here, you can't see anymore. And it's a little bit more than it would be if it was installed on the watch, but that's how it is as well. Once you get to a certain point, you just see crystal like that, even when it's installed on the watch. And again, this one does, when it's installed, protrude quite a bit above the bezels, so that's something to keep in mind. So these are the 3 crystals: the standard Hardlex, the double dome sapphire, and the bubble or bubble boy sapphire.